Next look, oxidation and reduction reactions. Oxidation and reduction reactions. Reduction. So in your textbook, one experiment is explained. Copper is heated. When copper is heated, it will turn into black. What the reaction taking place is that copper plus heated means reacting with oxygen and you are getting copper oxide. Copper oxide has the black color. See here. So here copper received oxygen. So we can say that copper is oxidized to copper oxide. Look, this reaction when copper oxide reacts with hydrogen. Copper oxide or hydrogen gas is passed through copper oxide. Copper oxide is converted into again copper plus water H2O. Copper oxide converted to copper or copper oxide lost oxygen. Hydrogen received the oxygen here. Look. So we can say that hydrogen is oxidized to water. Hydrogen is oxidized and copper oxide is reduced. So which is the reducer, which is oxidized? Hydrogen. Hydrogen oxidized. Oxidizer. Which is the oxidizer which supplied oxygen? Oxidizer. Oxidizer is copper oxide. Copper oxide gave the oxygen. So copper oxide is oxidizer. Which is the reducer? Reducer. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is reduced. Hydrogen reduced to copper. Copper oxide. Hydrogen. Reducer is hydrogen, which is reduced. Copper oxide is reduced. Reduced copper oxide. Copper oxide is reduced. Hydrogen is oxidized. Copper oxide is reduced to copper. So here, the black coating of copper oxide when hydrogen gas is passed, again it turns into brown. Copper has brown color. That means copper is again produced. So this type of reaction, oxidation, hydrogen is oxidized, copper oxide is reduced. Hydrogen is oxidized or hydrogen received oxygen, copper oxide lost oxygen. So we can, in terms of oxidized oxygen, we can say copper oxide is reduced, hydrogen is the reducer and hydrogen is oxidized, copper oxide is oxidizer. So such reactions, here oxidation and reduction taking place together or simultaneously, so we can say this type of reactions are redox reactions. Redox, if the reactions oxidation and reduction taking place together in a reaction, we call it as redox reactions. Redox reactions. So here copper oxide, hydrogen is oxidized, copper oxide is supplied oxygen, so copper oxide is oxidizer. Hydrogen is reducer. When hydrogen is oxidized, it is a reducer. Similarly, we can write about zinc oxide. Look here, zinc oxide, ZnO plus carbon. ZnO plus carbon giving zinc plus CO. Here, carbon is reducer. Carbon reduced zinc oxide to zinc. Carbon reduced zinc oxide to zinc. The reducer. Carbon. Oxidized. Carbon only. Carbon to carbon monoxide. Carbon to CO. Carbon received oxygen. So carbon is oxidized. Which one supply to oxygen? ZNO, oxidizer. ZNO, because ZNO gave the oxygen to carbon, so oxidizer is ZNO. ZNO is reduced by carbon, but it is oxidizer. Similarly, then gave another equation: manganese dioxide plus HCl, manganese chloride plus water plus chlorine. Here, manganese MnO2 is reduced by HCl. MnO2 and HCl is get oxidized to Cl2. HCl is oxidized, or HCl reduces manganese dioxide. So this type of reaction, oxidation and reduction reactions. Another part in chemistry is there, last one. It is rancidity. What is rancidity? What is rancid? The food particles get oxidized. When food particles are packed, or fat or oil containing substances are packed, it will get oxidized after some time, and they have lost the taste and smell also. Such a process, that process is called as rancidity. Rancidity. So what is rancidity? When the fat and oils are oxidized, they become rancid and their smell and taste changes. When the food particles containing fats and oils left for some time, taste and smell changes. That is known as rancidity, or food particles get oxidized, so that taste and smell changes. This is called rancidity. So that some chips, such things, all are bags are filled with nitrogen to prevent rancidity. So chips manufacturers usually flush bags of chips with gas such as nitrogen to prevent the chips from getting oxidized. So food particles get oxidized, having food particles having fat and oil substances can get oxidized and their taste and smell changes. That is called so that to prevent rancidity, antioxidants are used. Antioxidants are used to prevent rancidity. And also chips bags are filled with nitrogen, nitrogen to prevent the rancidity. Another part is there corrosion. Corrosion. Corrosion is, you may know that when iron particles or such things are left for come into contact with the atmosphere, a brown powder is formed. It is called corrosion. Chemically destroyed. Corrosion means chemically destroyed by reacting with oxygen. Corrosion is very common in iron. When iron particles are left in the atmosphere for some time, it will get corroded because you can see that brown powders are it is getting destroyed. Same process we can see in copper and silver also. Other metals, copper getting a green color due to reaction with oxygen. Green color. Green color. You can say that this is also corrosion, but copper particles not destroyed in this process, and it will prevented from corrosion. Copper particles get a green color when it reacts with oxygen and water vapor, carbon dioxide, I think so, and we call it verdigris. Okay. So next, silver getting black, converted into black. That also we can say example for corrosion. But corrosion is more common in iron, and iron particles will get destroyed due to corrosion. Okay, dear children, we have finished this chapter. Now there is a test for you. Chemistry first chapter. Answer it and send the answer to me, my WhatsApp number. See, the first question is the reason for the change of color of FeSO4 7H ferrous sulfate crystal when heated. Ferrous sulfate has green color. The color of ferrous sulfate will change when heated. What is the reason you have to write? Whether a decomposition reaction or whether a loss of water, such answer I need. Second question, salt used in the black and white photography. Third question, the reason for the blue color of copper sulfate, sorry, the reason for the fade of blue color, fade, fade of blue color of copper sulfate when it contact with iron nail. The reason for the fade of blue copper sulfate when it contact with the iron nail. So when copper sulfate is in contact with the iron, the color of copper sulfate will fade. What is the reason? You have to write. Chips manufacturers usually flush bags of chips with the nitrogen gas to prevent. So what is the why they are filling the nitrogen gas? You have to write the answer there. Next, when hydrogen gas passes through the black coating of copper oxide, it changes to brown. The reaction is what type of reaction? Reduction or oxidation? Such you have to write oxidation or reduction. You have to write what reaction actually taking place there. Sixth, the process of iron article get coated with reddish brown powder is commonly known as, write the answer to that. Seventh question, look here. Dash are added to foods containing fats and oils to prevent rancidity. One word is there, you have to write that word. Eighth question, okay. The reaction in which there is exchange of ions between reactants are called dash. Name of the reaction, right? What type of reaction is that one? Ninth, the reaction in which oxidation and reduction occur simultaneously are called. There is a particular name for such reactions. You write the name of that reaction. 10th, respiration is example for dash reaction, whether it is endothermic or exothermic. That you have to write. Exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction or any other type of reaction, you have to write that. Respiration is example for dash. Method of balancing chemical equation is called dash. That is one particular name is there for it. Write that answer. And 12th, CaCO3. You have to fill these equations. Complete without referring the notes or textbook. Read the textbook. Read my notes also and write the answers yourself. Thank you.